Welcome to the CTSNet Women in Thoracic Surgery and European Society of Thoracic Surgeons Women in General Thoracic Surgery webinar entitled Mentorship and Sponsorship. This is webinar 3 in the three-part webinar series, Women in Cardiothoracic Surgery, Advancement Through Collaboration. Thank you for joining us. Please note this webinar is being recorded and will be available next week on ctsnet.org and CTSNet's YouTube channel. At this time, I'm pleased to introduce the moderator for this webinar, Dr. Stephanie Worrell. Dr. Worrell is a clinical associate professor of surgery at the University of Arizona Medical School in Tucson, Arizona, in the United States. At the same institution, she serves as the section chief of thoracic surgery and the associate program director of general surgery residency. Thank you for leading the discussion. I'll turn the panel over to you.
Terrific. Thank you, John. Well, welcome. Thank you very much. And thank you to the audience for taking the time to explore this topic with us today. I'm thrilled to introduce our esteemed panelists here today. So first we have Dr. Brendan Stiles. He's the Division Chief of Thoracic Surgery at the Montefiore Einstein Comprehensive Cancer Center, Professor of Cardiothoracic Surgery. We also have Richka Jindani, who's a general surgery resident at Montefiore Medical Center. And then we are lucky enough to have Rita Costa with us today, all the way from Portugal, where she is a thoracic surgeon at the Centro Hospital University. I'm going to mess all of that up, but I'll let her say that when she gives her talk. Unfortunately, Mara Antonoff is not going to be here, so I'm going to be filling in for her. But before we get started on our first talk, I'd like to mention that you may enter questions by using our Zoom Q&A function. There's going to be a total of 3 presentations, including a combined presentation. You're going to get a Zoom poll that appear before each of these, and we encourage you to answer these questions, and we'll share those results with you. So right now, you can see the first one coming up. So let us know, have you ever had a mentor or sponsor in your career? All right, great. So of our responses, everyone has had a mentor, which is terrific. So my talk is going to talk about what is the difference between mentorship and sponsorship. All right. So mentors, it's really a one-on-one interaction. I'm going to go into a lot more detail on this. Sponsor, it's really someone kind of talking about you to other people. And the last one is networking, and that's yourself kind of building your own kind of platform at different various places. So a mentor, that's someone who provides guidance and feedback. They can be trusted with a lot of different things, the good, the bad, and the ugly. They help you navigate politics. This is someone who you can kind of confide in. You can tell them, stuff like help you grow your own personal and professional development. And they should so often show support and empathy. It can be formal or informal. It can be internal, it can be external. It can also be a sponsor. So your mentor can serve in 2 roles if they are someone that has the necessary authority, credibility, and relevant contacts. So some myths we want to dispel today about mentoring. It is not only for people who are in research, it's not only for junior faculty or trainees, it's not static, and it is not always altruistic. It's a back and forth kind of relationship. You also don't only need one mentor, you can have a lot of different mentors, and you can learn to be a mentor if you don't think you have the skills to do that. It can definitely be learned. It doesn't always have to be a long-term relationship, and it doesn't always have to take a lot of time. And so does it matter? So mentorship does matter. In a study done in 2006, they looked at business people who had mentors, and they had a significant increase in their compensation and retention, faster time to promotion. And over 70% of Fortune 500 companies have a mentoring program because they see the value in this. We did a study of our mentorship program through the Women in Thoracic Surgery this last year, and it was really to evaluate the experience of our prior mentees in this mentorship program. We had a 39% response rate. The majority were medical students and trainees. And 26% of them thought that this pairing made them much more likely to pursue thoracic surgery. And many participants didn't think it really changed their trajectory, but it did provide them with more opportunities, reassurance, belonging, and available role models. Programs that match women with the same gender mentors may offset some of the difficulties in terms of number and quality of mentors that people are able to find. We also did a study of our speed mentoring event that happened last year or a couple years ago as well. And in this, we found that people did have mentors prior to this event, but 76% of them had been dissuaded against pursuing a career in CT surgery. Um, just showing that we need more, positive mentorship in CT surgery itself. So a lot of this was due to people citing work-life balance, lifestyle with children, things that can really be dispelled by a good mentor. And so a mentor really helps improve your skills, where a sponsor really helps you improve your position. Mentor gives you a perspective. A sponsor really gives you opportunities. Mentor will speak with you. A sponsor will speak about you. And so a mentor is a person whose highest value is what they say to you when you are in the room with them. When a sponsor is someone whose highest value is what they say about you to other people when you are not there. So really a sponsor is someone who will use their internal political and social capital to move your career forward. It's a person who has a seat at the table who with the decision makers who can use your name to kind of get you these coveted assignments and promotions. And sponsorship, really over mentorship, is how power is transferred in the workplace. And so this is shown in a couple of studies I'll show in a minute, but sponsors support career development by promoting your advancement with other decision makers. It may be thought of as an enabler, a facilitator, someone who can get you something done to help you. This person must have influence, obviously, to make these to help you in that way. And they also give their proteges exposure to other influences, and they fight or protect their protege. So sponsorship in the business world. So despite, gains women have seen in middle and senior management, only 3% hold CEO positions. And a lot of that is attributed to absence of advocacy or sponsorship. People who have sponsors are over 22% more likely to ask for these stretch assignments and raises. And both men and women feel that more satisfied with their career advancement when they have sponsors. And ambitious women underestimate the difference that sponsorship can make. In another study done that was reported on by the Harvard Business Review, this was a study of over 4,000 MBAs of both genders. Men were more likely than women to have powerful sponsors. And without sponsors, women are less likely than men to get appointed to top roles and maybe more reluctant to get them. Another article kind of looking at this in the business world showed that all these efforts for mentorship and coaching, obviously we find them of value, but they're not the things that really moved you forward in your career. What it really was strong sponsorship. A study done that was reported in JAMA a few years ago looked at gender and sponsorship through grant funding. So it was a study of all K08 and K23 awardees between 2006 and 2009 who were still in academic practice in 2014. They looked at the success based on sponsorship. And so academic success was defined as a PI on an R01, over $1 million since their K award, published over 35 peer-reviewed articles, or appointed as a high-level position, and they were asked to report on these sponsorship activities. So sponsorship significantly was associated with success, as one may predict, for both men and women. And any sponsorship activity of any kind was found to be more frequently among men. And so we take this back to what can you do as the mentee? So you want to obtain this mentorship and sponsorship. So be proactive, be professional, be respectful, desire to learn, be able to listen and accept good feedback. The best advice may not always be the easiest to accept. And be committed, follow through, perform well. Both mentorship and sponsorship are a two-way street. So if somebody is mentoring you or sponsoring you, they want to see, how you do in those roles and then pay it forward. We all at any level can be mentors and sponsors in our career to those who are in need of that. So perform well, observe who sponsors others and seek them out, network beyond your typical reach. Step up to opportunities and say yes, make your value visible, know your goals, share your goals with your leaders because they may be able to sponsor you and they just don't know what your goals are. And like we talked about in the beginning, sponsorship can grow out of mentorship. Your mentor can become your sponsor. So there's plenty of ways to find these people. It can be through formal programming, convenience, serendipity, or networking. So how do you network? You come to events like this, sign up for things, ask questions at meetings. When you're at meetings, just get up to the microphone, collaborate on projects with others outside of your own institution, and then follow up with people who you meet. Contact them. Remember people, the research, their interests. And then another area, social media. Dr. Antonoff has done a lot of research on this, and it definitely can be an area where you can find people outside of your network. So in summary, and sponsors are great, but they are very different. Mentors might not expect anything of you, but sponsors usually want to see you do well in the positions that you're appointed to. That helps them increase their capital worth too. You can have mentors and sponsors, and they might serve different roles for you. And there's a lot of ways to connect with both mentors and sponsors, but you have to advocate for yourself. So even while you're receiving mentorship and sponsorship, you are well equipped to provide it to others along their pathway. Oop. And just last, I wanted to share that our second annual WTS meeting is this fall, and our call for abstracts is open now. All right, and then we'll come up with our next poll question here, which is, which quality do you think is most important in the mentor-mentee relationship? Terrific. We're going to move on to our second presentation with Dr. Stiles and Dr. Jindani.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Dr. Worrell. We really appreciate the introduction. I appreciate you including us. Rajika did all the work for this. I'm going to let her take over, but I'll just introduce it a little bit. And she put a New York Knicks basketball theme on it in honor of the playoffs, and hopefully the Knicks will get past the Celtics. The one I made a couple changes on Rajika's slides, and one was this. She originally started as the assist and the alley-oop, with the assist being the mentorship and the alley-oop being sponsorship. I sort of thought of the alley-oop as really just a fancy pass and sort of the same thing. But the way that I think of sponsorship is sort of what Stephanie was saying. It's really promoting our all-stars, right? It's that external facing thing, right? So I want to lobby for Rajika to be on the all-star team. And I want to sort of tell everybody she should be on the all-star team, right? Not just throw her the ball and let her do with it, but it's all about that lobbying effort. And we'll explain a little bit more as we go through the slides. Rajika put together a great slide deck for you. She's a general surgery resident who wants to go into thoracic surgery, so keep your eye out for her. She'll be applying in 2 years and is definitely an all-star. So Rajika, why don't you take over?
Great. Thank you so much, Dr. Stiles. And thank you to the CTSNet Women in Thoracic Surgery and the ESTS Women in General Thoracic Surgery for organizing this session. It's super important to talk about mentorship and sponsorship in thoracic surgery. And as a trainee, it's definitely been very important for me to really decide what I want to do with my career and my career path. So great. Next slide. So first, we'll talk about why this topic matters. Even the best players don't succeed alone, and the same is true in surgery. So surgery, kind of like sports, is a team effort. So you can have immense talent, but without the right support system and the right people setting you up, like Dr. Stiles for me, it's really hard to thrive. And that's where mentorship and sponsorship come in. Mentorship, like we said in the introduction slide, is the assist. So that's guiding, teaching, and helping you navigate. And sponsorship creates the all-star team. So it's someone that's out there advocating for you, giving you the opportunity to rise and shine. And in both sports and surgery, talent is essential. So nobody gets to the top alone. And the real question isn't whether trainees, and particularly women trainees, have the talent. We know that they do. As Dr. Worrell presented, there's been multiple studies done looking into mentorship and sponsorship in this population, but it's really whether these trainees are being given the pass, the platform, and the opportunity to lead and succeed. And that's exactly where strong mentorship and sponsorship can come in and make a change. Next slide. So now let's talk about the problem, the gender gap in cardiothoracic surgery. Today, only about 10% of practicing thoracic surgeons are women, and that number drops even further when we look at those that are in leadership positions and in senior academic positions. So while the number of women entering training, as you can see in this graph, is increasing, the data shows a persistent gap among active physicians. So the pipeline is growing at the entry point, but the transition from training to long-term visible careers in thoracic surgery is where many women continue to face significant barriers. To put this into perspective, in a publication in a 2021 journal from Dr. Erkman and co-authors showed that women cardiothoracic surgeons earn just 71 to 86 cents for every dollar earned by their men counterparts. And that disparity isn't just about compensation. It's also a reflection of the broader issues in access, recognition, and advancement. And all of this exists despite the fact that men and women are graduating from medical school in nearly equal numbers, which I'll show in the next slide. So the question isn't whether women have the dedication or the ambition to succeed in thoracic surgery. They do, but the real issue is access. So access to mentorship, to sponsorship, to leadership opportunities, and to a seat in the decision-making table. And that's exactly why we're here today, to talk about what we can do and how to ensure that talented trainees not only enter the field, but that they stay, lead, and thrive in it. Next slide. And so this is showing a depiction of what happens when we don't have enough mentorship and sponsorship in place. We see what's known as the leaky pipeline phenomenon, and it's very evident in thoracic surgery and broadly in academic medicine. We start strong with over half of medical students today that are women, but that number drops to 30% by the time we get to residency and fellowship. And then it gets even more stark. So only 16% of assistant professors, 11% of associate professors, and just 5% of full professors in thoracic surgery are women. So at every transition point from training to early career to mid-career and leadership, the percentage of women falls. And that's not because of a lack of ability, but more so a lack of support, visibility, and advocacy. And these are the exact points where mentorship and sponsorship can really make the difference to stop the leaks and to keep talented women on the path to leadership. Next slide. And so I know Dr. Worrell went over this pretty extensively. This is just a brief table depicting the differences between mentorship and sponsorship, because sometimes they're often used interchangeably and they serve very different purposes. So mentors are the ones who teach you. They listen, they support and help you grow. And that relationship can be formal or informal, and it's incredibly valuable for guidance and for development. Sponsors, on the other hand, take it a step further. So they advocate for you, recommend you publicly, and create real opportunities for advancement. These relationships are more senior and strategic, and they carry a lot of influence. So with mentorship, you have someone to walk with you on the journey, but with sponsorship, you have someone who's going to open doors, put your name forward, and push you into that next role. So both of them are crucial. Next slide. So why does mentorship matter so much, especially in a field as demanding as thoracic surgery? So first, mentorship improves confidence, retention, and leadership development. So having someone who believes in you, guides you, and helps you navigate challenges can make all the difference in building a strong professional identity. Second, mentorship improves resilience. So it can help trainees feel supported, especially during the tough moments in training, which I know we've all had. So whether it's a difficult rotation, a challenging case, or self-doubt about career direction, mentorship really helps put you back on track. And this is especially critical in the early stages in training. But as Dr. Worrell said, it's not just early trainees that need mentorship. This is something that you need throughout your career. So mentorship at the early stage can help because it influences whether someone stays in the field or walks away from it entirely. But strong mentorship overall strengthens the field by building a more confident, committed, and diverse generation of surgeons. Next slide. So now why is sponsorship important? So while mentorship is essential for development and support, sponsorship is really what moves careers forward, especially in a field as competitive as thoracic surgery. So this really unlocks access to leadership roles. It's often a sponsor in combination with hard work that gets your name out there to end up on a short list for positions, opportunities, or recognition. Sponsors also influence decisions behind the scenes. So they help with promotions, invitations to speak at conferences, and receiving awards. So their advocacy can carry significant weight in shaping someone's trajectory. And importantly, it also acts as a career accelerant, especially for high performers. So it doesn't just help you move, it helps you move faster, further, and more visibly. So for women in thoracic surgery who are often represented in key leadership spaces, sponsorship's not a luxury, but it's a necessity. Next slide. So when we think about the most effective mentorship relationships, whether in sports or in surgery, it's not just about matching skill levels. The best duos combine skill and mindset. So these mentorship pairs are built on trust, honest feedback, and shared goals, and they challenge each other, communicate openly, and grow together. So we think about some of the most iconic mentor-mentee duos in sports, Michael Jordan and Phil Jackson in this picture. So these aren't just talented athletes, but they had coaches who help refine their focus, manage their pressure, and play the long game. So as the saying goes, the greatest players have great coaches. Michael Jordan was brilliant, but Phil Jackson really helped him master the mental game. In surgery, the same applies. Technical skill and strategic mentorship go hand in hand. And the mentor isn't just someone who teaches you how to operate, but they help you think like a surgeon, act like a leader, and help you believe that you belong in the room. Next slide. So what do the great mentor-mentee pairs do differently? They start with the shared goals. Both the mentor and the mentee are aligned on what success looks like. They commit to regular and honest feedback. So not just praise, but real conversations that really drive improvement. They set clear expectations so that both sides know their roles and responsibilities and how progress will be measured. And most importantly, they engage in mutual growth. So as one person rises, the other one evolves. Great mentorship isn't one-sided, but it's a relationship that elevates both people. If you think about Steph Curry and Steve Kerr, Kerr guided Curry tactfully, but Curry really helped redefine the game, and he built this culture of unselfish excellence that influenced Kerr's own coaching. So this is a perfect example of how shared values and mutual respect can elevate performance on both ends. Next slide. So being a great mentor takes intention. It's not just about being available, but it's also about being strategic in how you support someone's growth. So first, you should set expectations early. You should talk about goals, timelines, and communication styles upfront. This clarity really helps avoid any misunderstandings and ensures that both sides are on the same page. Second, you should give honest and timely feedback. So this doesn't just mean criticism, but it means being direct, constructive, and consistent. So this is getting feedback from our mentors and our sponsors is how trainees and people grow. Third, we should be accessible but not controlling. So your role is to guide, not to micromanage. And finally, always be on the lookout for sponsorship opportunities. If your mentee is excelling, then you help them get seen. You recommend them for presentations, leadership roles, or high visibility projects, because at the end of the day, mentors, you are the coach in this relationship. So you help set the play, but you don't play the game for them. Your job is really to help develop this independence and this confidence. So an example of this is Coach Greg Popovich and Tim Duncan. So when Duncan entered the NBA, he was already incredibly talented, but it was really Popovich's mentorship that turned him into one of the most respected leaders in the game. So he set the expectations from day one. It's not just about the performance, but about professionalism, humility, and team culture. He didn't micromanage Duncan. In fact, he actually let his players take ownership of team huddles and decisions during games, especially as they matured. So he coached for independence, not dependence. And over time, Tim Duncan became the quiet backbone of his team, the Spurs. And he wasn't just executing plays, he was shaping the culture. And that's what great mentors and sponsors do. They set players up or surgeons and trainees up for independence so that they can succeed on their own. Next slide. And just like mentors have a game plan, mentees do too. And that is being intentional in this role. And that's the key to getting the most out of this relationship. So first, you should come prepared. Treat your mentor's time like a valuable asset, because it is. Have questions ready, bring updates, and show that you're engaged in your own growth. Second, ask for feedback and actually apply it. So feedback is one of the most powerful tools for growth, but only if you're open for it. It's not always easy to hear, but often it's exactly what we need. And third, share your goals and progress. Mentors can only help you if they know exactly what you're working towards, so make it easy for them to support you. And finally, be open to challenge. The best mentors will push you out of your comfort zone towards bigger roles and into opportunities you may not think you're ready for. So your job is to rise to that challenge. Think of it like a player-coach relationship. The coach can drop the play, but the player is the one that needs to execute it. You need to study your film, you need to show up to practice and perform on game day. LeBron James is a great example of that. So even as one of the most talented athletes of his generation, he's known for being curious and always looking to evolve his game. The same applies for surgery. You don't have to be perfect, but you do have to commit to improving. Next slide. So just like in basketball, mentorship has its share of fouls. We'll walk through a couple of the most common ones. So unresponsiveness, this is like missing practice. So when either side stops showing up, doesn't reply, delays meetings, or disappears, then the trust erodes and the momentum stalls. Mentors overstepping and micromanaging. So think of this like a coach who won't let the player take the shots. A mentor's goal is to guide, not to control. So too much interference can actually stunt a mentee's growth and confidence. Mentees not applying feedback. So this is like ignoring your coach's play calls. So if feedback isn't taken seriously or acted on, the mentor may stop offering it and opportunities can be missed. And no goal alignment. So this is the equivalent of running different plays on the court. If mentor and mentees aren't aligned on goals, timelines, or priorities, then it leads to confusion and frustration on both sides. Mentorship works best when both people play their roles with intention, respect, and communication. So it's okay to make mistakes, but that's how we learn. And the key is to recognize the mistake, correct it, and keep moving forward. Next slide. So what makes mentorship and sponsorship really work, especially in these high-stake fields like thoracic surgery? And that comes down to the final play, the core ingredients that every great partnership needs. The first is communication. So this is your playbook. Without open and consistent communication, even the most promising mentor-mentee relationships will fall apart. The second is trust. So trust fuels growth. Mentees need to feel safe sharing challenges, and mentors need to trust their mentees to show up and follow through. The third is commitment. So mentorship isn't just a one-time conversation. It takes time, effort, and intention from both sides to make it valuable. The fourth is mutual respect. So this is a two-way street. Titles don't guarantee good mentorship. Respect, listening, and learning from each other does. And the final one is shared wins. So the best mentorship stories aren't the ones where one person advances. They're about both people celebrating the progress that they've made together. And just like in basketball, the final play only works if everyone is in sync. So communication, trust, timing, and teamwork, that's what really gets you the win. And when we get this right in cardiac and thoracic surgery, we don't just help individuals succeed, but we also build a field that reflects the talent, leadership, and the diversity that it truly needs. Next slide. So this work, mentorship, sponsorship, and equity, it doesn't just happen from the top down. It happens one relationship at a time. So be the mentor that you once needed, or you still wish that you had. Show up, listen, encourage, challenge, and when the time is right, pass the ball. For mentees, you be the mentee that's ready to learn, to take feedback, and to grow into the person that your mentor is investing in. Because in the end of the day, this field, like the best teams, thrives on the assist. It's not always who makes the shot. It's about who sets it up, who believed in the play, and who created the opportunity. So in surgery and in sports, your legacy isn't only your own success, but it's the people that set you up to succeed and who you set up to succeed. Next slide.
Yeah, and I can talk about this one briefly.
Okay.
I added this one in just because, you did a great job, obviously, but I wanted to talk a little bit about just sponsorship and the role of this. I know we're asked to talk about mentorship, but from my perspective, I wanted to just give this, and I often will talk about this paper from Harvard Business Review, and I think it's a great read for anybody. It's really focused on mentoring and sponsoring women and underrepresented groups. But I think from the leader's perspective, many times we think that we're sponsoring somebody, but we're just mentoring them. I wanted to just make this point that it's really important to understand that the sponsoring, like Stephanie said, is sort of outfacing, right? It's behind your back, and it's what we do behind the scenes. Anybody can mentor, because generally I get something back from the mentoring relationship. I don't typically from the sponsoring thing. And so this article does a really good job, and they call it the ABCDs, which is easy to remember, just like amplifying. So sort of self-promotion, but promoted by me. So that, it's awkward for Rajika to do self-promotion, but it's great when I promote her. Boosting and sort of talking about that's like self-assurance with me assuring, saying that everything is going great. And I think most importantly, and probably in thoracic surgery, like other things, is connections, right? And we can do a lot together, but by connecting Rajika to other people and other leaders in the field, and a great example is she got the Scanlon Women in Thoracic Fellowship to go down and spend a month at MD Anderson with Dr. Antonoff. And those kind of opportunities, I think, to see other leaders in the field who are sort of like Rajika and reflected, but just expand her view of the space, do much more than I can do alone mentoring her. And did I, want her to stay here and keep working in the lab and get things done? Of course, but it's a much better opportunity for her to go and to get that experience, I think. And so I just put this slide in as a reminder to mentors to also think about sponsorship and be sponsors. You don't have to sponsor everybody, but I think selecting the right people and the stars to do it is the art of it. And I come at this from my wife, right, who's a CEO in biotech and who wouldn't have gotten where she is without sponsorship. She was mentored by a lot of people, but I think in professions like you mentioned CEOs, Stephanie, in your earlier talk, and sort of leaders in thoracic surgery, right? There's not a lot of women in those positions now, as Rajika sort of alluded to. So we have to figure out on the male side how to sponsor and how to do that to help get more female leaders in these spots. You can go to the next slide. I guess that's the end. And as an aside, I love the sports analogies. Great job, Rajika. I keep on my desk a picture on my desktop, my screensaver, of Aaron Boone, who used to be a manager for the Yankees. They had a famous breakdown where he yelled at the umpire and called his guys savages in the box, and he got thrown out in the first inning. But it's really, he was there just defending like how good his players were and how the umpire needed to step it up for that. And I try to keep that there to remind me that every day I need to go out and sort of fiercely advocate for my whole team, right? And say, I've got the best team in the hospital, and we need to make sure that everybody else lives up to their standards. And Rajika is a great example of that. So thanks for putting the talk together.
That was terrific. I loved all those analogies. That was awesome. Great job, you guys. So just a reminder to the attendees, you can continue to submit questions using the Q&A function. And then our last speaker is Dr. Costa, and she's going to share some insights on the topic of elevating your peers.
So, thank you for this kind invitation. It's a pleasure to be here with all of you. I will be speaking about elevating your peers. So, what do you mean by elevating your peers? It means supporting, uplifting, and helping your colleagues to grow, to succeed, and to feel valued. This includes encourage others. When you see a colleague doing a great job, let them know, but be specific and avoid generic complimenting. Offering support. If you notice someone struggle, reach out, offer help, and share your knowledge and give feedback. And creating opportunities. You can invite your colleagues to collaborate with you or speak positively about them to others. So, in short, elevating your peers involves mentoring and sponsoring. And most of the time, this action will return to you because in the end, you are building a stronger team around and with you. Scientific evidence also reflects the importance of these topics. I came across this paper for 2008, whose title starts with "Do the peers make the place?" The authors found that individuals with supportive coworker relationships tend to have better job attitudes and great effectiveness. However, the most interesting finding was that coworker support was more predictive than leader support for job involvement, and it could play a crucial role in most withdrawing related criteria, such as absentees. So, peers do make the place. However, the authors also conclude that coworkers influence the workplace in asymmetric ways that can improve it but also make it worse. In fact, most of the evidence focuses on how unhealthy coworkers' relationships lead to negative outcomes. For example, in this paper, they showed that loneliness in the workplace is associated with lower job performance, reduced satisfaction, and increased burnout. Furthermore, the authors also report a possible link between loneliness, inadequate workplace social interactions, and mental health problems. And mental health in the workplace has become one hot topic in medical publication, and it is crucial that we address it. So it's not surprising that the CDC report that harassment is linked to poor mental health among health workers, as those who experience harassment report higher levels of anxiety, depression, and burnout. It's also described that when working conditions are positive and where health workers are supported and have the potential to thrive, poor mental health outcomes are less likely. The responsibility of change is assigned to the employer, but as we have seen before, employees can also have a tremendous impact on improving working conditions for their peers. However, how can we elevate our peers? The first step is finding your tribe, or even multiple tribes. In my opinion, the most important things to remember is not every group will be the right fit for you, and that's okay. You should try to find your people, but never at the cost of your well-being. For example, you should never try to be accepted by people who bully you. Again, not every group will be the right fit for you, and that's perfectly fine. So, how do you recognize when you really truly found your tribe? You will feel emotional support and safe. These people will push you further and inspire you to keep going. And sometimes we are not talking about just one big tribe, but several small ones. And trust me, sometimes your people are where you least expect them. And how do you find your tribe? You have to talk to people, you have to ask about their goals, share your interests, be approachable and not judgmental. With time, we will be connected with people who share your values. If you pay attention and show genuine interest, you naturally find yourself celebrating the achievements of others. So now I would like to share a true story about how I found my tribe. So 8 fellows, including myself, were selected for the Women in General Thoracic Surgery Academy 2023-2024. We came from different countries and we had 3 clinical immersions and a final meeting in Barcelona. We were honored to have an amazing team of leaders who support and guide us through this journey. And I'm really, truly grateful to all of them. We have a wonderful time. We have a lot of fun and excellent networking. However, last year ESTS Congress marked the official end of our academy. But of course, that was not the end. We still have a very active WhatsApp group, but I will not show you the message that we changed to each other because it's a secure and private place. However, I can give you examples. We are always trying to coordinate who's attending which congress so we can get together. We continue to meet online, and you can see the picture and the smile on your face on our face is not staged; they are real. And we still work on projects together. So we work, we support each other, and we have fun together. And despite our different backgrounds, we share values and experience. So I really feel that we are growing together as a strong team. Besides feeling extremely grateful for the people in this group and for the leaders who continue to support us, I would like to share a quote that I find and that I found, and I think that's perfect to capture this topic. So, no longer is our strength measured in how full our buckets are, but rather in how we are continuing filling the buckets of others. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
We're now going to open the floor to the panelists. And feel free to put your questions in the Q&A. I'll start it off with a question to Dr. Jindani. So we probably have some trainees here on the in the attendance here. So what advice would you give to someone who's just kind of starting out? They maybe don't have a mentor. What could you tell them?
That's a great question. I would say that you should not be afraid to just walk up and introduce yourself to people. That's actually how I met Dr. Stiles. So he had come to present to the general surgery program when I was an intern, and he was talking about his vision for the thoracic program at Monty. He'd just come from Cornell to Montefiore at that time. And so he was kind of talking about his vision for the program, and they had started a lung cancer screening program as well. And so I have a background in public health, and that kind of drew my interest. And so I emailed him and I was like, hey, can we meet? Like, I am really interested in working with you. And that kind of just started our relationship from there. So I feel like if I had been, a little bit more like nervous or reserved, or I hadn't reached out to him, then I wouldn't be where I am today doing research in his lab and getting to, present in these panels and things like that. So yeah, just go for it. If you see something that you want, then you shouldn't be afraid.
I think that's a great point. And I would say, I would amend it to say, go for it strategically, right? And I think all of us probably have multiple people approach this. And when Rajika came, though, she was clearly prepared, right? She outlaid her thoughts, she outlaid why she was interested, what she wanted to do, and all those things. I think, it can be overwhelming at these meetings. You see all these people, and you want to meet everybody, and you go up to them. But if that's your one opportunity, so if you're not ready with a compelling story about why you'd be a good match, then often you might miss that opportunity. So come prepared and be strategic when you approach, I think, potential mentors or sponsors.
Yeah, definitely. To add to that, something that Dr. Stiles and one of our other attendings, we do meetings every month for the T32 fellowship that I'm doing. And they always say to have like a 30-minute like elevator pitch ready.
30
So that
seconds.
30 seconds, yes, not 30 minutes, 30-second elevator pitch ready. So that when you do get an opportunity to meet someone that you look up to, and that could be a possible mentor or sponsor for you, then you can just go there, say your, talk about yourself and sell yourself so that they are interested in creating a relationship with you.
Yeah, and I'll just add to that, the one other thing it's hard to walk up to people, right? And so, but this is where leaning on your sort of mentors or existing people that you have supporting you to make those connections really helps, that idea of connecting, right? And even if it's not a deep thing, just saying, hey, I really would like to meet Dr. Worrell. Can you introduce me at the next meeting? And I think coming from somebody else often gets the pause where it's not just the cold call feeling. So if you're able to do that, if you have somebody to connect, it's harder for people who are at places where they might not have a connector, but trying to find that, I think, is important.
Yeah, terrific advice. Yeah, and I think maybe for junior trainee people, you may not realize the connections you have maybe in your own home institution because you just aren't, aware of that. Um, Dr. Costa, any advice, you were able to get together with some people, through that opportunity, the international opportunity that you had. How can other people get involved in that?
Is specific in a women's general academy.
Yeah,
Alright,
it's
that's
just
the question, right? So it's an annual academy, so you can go to the ESTS online and you can put your data, and then they will select you or not, but it's open to everybody that is a member of the EST. So my idea is that people should apply, because like we see here, we have to apply, we have to raise our voice, we have to introduce yourself. It's not a passive thing that will happen, we have to be very active.
terrific. Yeah, I think there's a medical student, international medical looking to get involved. So ESTS is a good way to help.
And
Um,
I'll add to that a little bit, Stephanie, if I could. A great example, just apply, right? Get somebody to write something. So Grace, who was on the last picture that Rajika showed, we just sort of thought about last minute to apply for the WTS traveling scholarship to ATS, and we did. But it became this incredible opportunity because she got paired with Betty Tong, and so it was just, you never know what you can meet with these things that will leave a legacy with you and a connection with this. And so be bold there, but particularly these opportunities through WTS and other things that pair you with another leader mentor in the field, ESTS does the same, are incredible opportunities, I think.
Terrific. And we have another question, very good question here. Could you share some more insight about how to maintain a mentorship and sponsorship relationship over time, especially around keeping communication effective and ongoing? Maybe Dr. Stiles, would you like to start with that one?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard, but this is where I do really think it depends a lot on the mentee or the sponsoree, right? And all the leaders who are mentoring and sponsoring people are busy. They've got a million things going on, and maybe not necessarily thinking about you as at the top of the list, but be persistent. Share successes. I think be honest and open. Share failures, and most importantly, share what it is that you think you need. I think Rajik did a good job talking about it. I think, and Stephanie, you did too. There's got to be communication. People need to know what they're trying to get out of their relationship. And I think too often we focus on the micro, like I need Rajika to do this cell-based assay next week, but what does Rajika need in the big picture, right? Like how's it going for her? What's happening? And as she goes out of the lab, how do we maintain that contact as she applies for thoracic surgery residencies? And then when she gets there, how do we make sure that she becomes the best thoracic surgeon ever? I hope that we'll have that continued dialogue, but it really has to come from both sides. It has to be clear and stating objectives, I think.
Yeah, and I think it's critical to, to actually make formal meetings because it's true, you kind of get busy and these one-offs don't always lead to things. But if you have like a time to sit down, you can actually really focus on those questions. Like, what do you need and what's like the long-term goals versus just those kind of one-off things.
How do you do it, Stephanie? What do you think about that question?
Yeah, I think, I try to make like formal sit down, like I'll block 30 minutes for mentors. Often they have to reach out to me to set that up because, things get busy. But when they do, I try to set like a 30-minute like in-person meeting. Otherwise I feel like things don't, you don't really get to like the question you said, like, what do we need to do to help you get to that next step?
Just to add to that as well, I think from a trainee perspective, I think it's really important to go to these big conferences and annual meetings because that's really where you make these connections. And when you see someone repeatedly, then you create more of that relationship because they'll see you at a conference and then they'll say, "Oh, I remember you from the last like the conversation that we had from the last meeting." And so I think that's a great way. And then also just getting involved in research. I know as an international student, it's definitely hard to make an impression when you meet someone just once or twice a year. But if you email them and say, I want to do this research project or something like that, then I think that kind of creates that more longitudinal relationship.
Yes,
Wow.
and don't be afraid to introduce yourself, to put your name out. Yeah, you have to be active.
Yeah, I'll make a quick comment. Rajika's point was a good one that, get some wins for the people that you reach out to, right? And so Rajika reached out to several people with proposed projects that she wanted to get people involved with, and it's created this incredible network of sponsors and mentors for her, different institutions and in Europe. But it's really been driven by her, not just saying, "Hey, mentor me, help me do this thing," but by giving back, right? And pushing, said, "I've got this idea for this paper. I'd love to get you involved. Let's think about how we can do this." And go with ideas and big ideas that will often get people to your side quickly.
And then there we go. Okay. So different question, sorry. Yeah, so I guess what kind of as you're sponsoring someone, what kind of expectations do you have of that person? So you sponsor them to maybe be like a moderator in a session or something. Like any specific expectations you have of those of your sponsees?
Is that for me?
You or Dr. Costa.
Rita, you want to go first?
Yes, when you support someone, of course, you want to they do well. Okay, so that's no doubt about. But you cannot just give a name of a person and no support, no feedback, nothing. So I think that is a long way when you give the name of someone that you expect they do well, but they know that they can count on you. So it's just you hope they do well, but you help to they do well. So I think it's a responsibility when you give someone's name because your name is also involved in that project. But it's very rewarding when someone that you sponsor do a great job. So I think we have to support our peers because it's not only leaders and mentors and mentees, but also our colleagues. You can be more kind to each other. You can uplift in each other, even if you are peers. I think that's also very important.
I like that. It's kind of like your
I like
mentor
that. It's kind of like your mentor
for your sponsorship opportunity.
for sponsorship.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think those are great points, and it's like the Aaron Boone thing. You need the person that you put out there to be a savage in the box, right? They've got to go there like firing on all cylinders and really do an incredible job. And so, when Rajika was going down to MD Anderson, she came to the upper room. We sort of talked about, not just the big picture, but we talked about what are you thinking about in the OR? How are you doing this? What's happening here? What are you going to do down there? You're going to be the best visiting person that they ever had, and I think those things are important, right? Because it is sponsorship. You put yourself out there. You say, "I'm vouching for this person who's going to come here and do a great job, whether they're giving a talk, whether they're moderating, whether they're doing something." And so we want you to be completely prepared for it. Yeah, the good sponsor has already decided by then that they know that they will and doesn't really have to remind them. But I think, but stepping back and remembering that when you're on the mentee sponsoree side, is that somebody put themselves out there for you, and so to go there and really give it your best is really important.
Terrific. Well, this has been a really great discussion. Let's see, is there any other questions from the audience? If not, I'll send this back over to John to take us out. All right. All right. Well, terrific presentations, everyone. That was really awesome. Some very good insights for, I think, all levels of people. So very, very great to chat with you all.
Thank you for attending the CTSNet Women in Thoracic Surgery and European Society of Thoracic Surgeons Women in General Thoracic Surgery webinar. As a reminder, a recording of today's webinar will be available next week on ctsnet.org and CTSNet's YouTube channel. Please take a moment to fill out our brief survey that will appear as you leave this session. Your feedback is greatly appreciated. Have a wonderful rest of your day.